that time of year again and people are looking for teachers. Get ready with me while I answer 12 a little bit more challenging teacher interview questions. We're wasting time. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel or welcome back to my channel. I'm Ali Mack and I'm a teacher and I'm here to help you have the best school year ever. While you're here, don't forget to click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any other videos from me. So this is part 2 in my teacher interview questions and answers series. If you have not checked out part 1, you don't have to go over there now. It doesn't have to go in order. You can just watch it after this one's over. Part 1 of this series is all about personality and background. So if you missed that, please check it out. I'll link it somewhere up here. If you have watched part 1, you might have noticed that my makeup look was very tame for me. But usually I go a little bit more tame at school because I don't want students to be distracted by my makeup and instead of what I'm actually teaching. Sometimes it can go both ways. Sometimes they want to look at you because you look crazy, but then other times they don't. But for an interview, it's always best to go on the conservative side. Part 1, I was more conservative, got a little edgier with this makeup look. 3, I'm just gonna go all out. And I would not recommend that for an interview. Today's video focuses on qualifications for the position and whether or not my values match the institution that I am applying for. I must admit these were more fun to answer and a little bit more challenging. So I hope you enjoy this as much as I enjoyed filming it. Now stay tuned for part 3 in this series. The questions get a little bit more challenging. The questions in part 3 are going to give the interviewer a more specific look into your teaching style, goals, and problem-solving ability. They get a little bit more challenging with each episode in this series. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this video, shall we? I went ahead and moisturized my skin with my favorite skin cream. I'm going to use a different foundation today, change things up a little. This is what it is. I don't know why I'm doing this. It never works for me. Oh, there it is. And this is in the color Fair Porcelain 001. And when I start putting this on my skin, you're gonna realize that it's actually too light even for my skin. And it comes out really thick. To be honest, I think that is too much, but we'll see. Oh my gosh, do you realize what I forgot to do? Let's try not to mess it up. I'm gonna wear it as a headband today. There we go. All right. There. So the first question is, what do you like most about teaching? Now, I'm gonna tell you right now, the obvious answer is the kids. I love kids. I want to watch them be successful. I want to see that light bulb go off when I teach them something new. I like interacting. I like their energy. I don't care if it's not true. Don't you dare. If you have an answer that's different than that, you have got to mention the kids. Now, I really do mean that. Anyway, one thing that I would say, since my answers here are completely honest than what I might say in a real interview, because in a real interview, you're basically putting on a dog and pony show, so to speak. So if I was going to answer this question honestly, my favorite part about being a teacher is to be creative enough and to come up with games and activities and skills and little songs, and I like coming up with a creative way to deliver the lesson. And to be honest, honestly, I love seeing students enjoy this lesson. Now, unfortunately, I have had principals tell me not to do anything fun in the class. And look, at the time it was deserved because my classroom management was just, ugh. Well, anyway, we don't want to talk about that. That's in the past. That's in the past. That's in the past. So I wasn't allowed to do anything fun that year. but in a way it was for my sanity. But as I started getting a little bit better, I started being able to add more fun things. But basically, that's my favorite part of being a teacher. Question 2. What do you dislike most about being a teacher? The paperwork. There is a lot less teaching and more of everything else. Every teacher that I have talked to or had conversations with said if that's all it was, you went into the classroom and taught, they would be there for the rest of their life. But it is all the other stuff that comes with it. And like at some schools, teachers can be really petty. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Really petty. Like if you get 2 pencils, they want 2 pencils. Like they want everything to be even, and I get it, but
it's a little childish, don't you think? It's a little childish.
I think we're better than that. So I guess I love collaborating with people, but sometimes people in the system can make the whole thing suck. Like honestly, they can. You can have an amazing experience if you're surrounded by people that you care about and work well, but you can have a horrible experience if you're surrounded by people that just aren't doing their job.
And by the way, don't use this answer at an interview. In fact, these are just my own real personal opinions, so don't do it. Seriously.
The least favorite thing about teaching, you should say something like, it kills me when I cannot reach every student, when a student does not understand a lesson and I just cannot connect or reach that child. At the end of the day, in interview questions, you want your answers centered around the well-being of the kid, period. When I use this foundation, I don't have to really use concealer as much as I normally do. So that's kind of nice. The only thing is like, it looks good on camera, but when I go out and about, it looks like I'm a ghost. So I kind of have to add color back to my skin. Wait, I'm going back to this trusty thing. Number 3, what is your philosophy on teaching and education? Okay? Now listen, I'm giving you a real answer right now. I'm not playing it up for the camera. This is what I really, really think. And I don't think this is a controversial answer. My philosophy is every kid is intelligent in their own way. Most of the time, when people think of intelligence, they think of math or science. I don't. I think people can be geniuses in a variety of ways. Have you heard of Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence systems? He proposes that people can be geniuses, but in different ways. So like look at Michael Jordan, for example. Don't you think he would be more of a kinesthetic genius? Michael Jordan would be a genius with kinesthetically. Maybe not so much science. Who knows? He might be a rocket scientist. Who knows? But my point is, would you really say that he isn't a genius at what he does? Really? What about John Legend? Are you telling me that he's not a genius with his music and able to sing and his vocal ability? My point is, there's a bunch of different people on this planet, and we can be different in different ways. That's what makes this world so wonderful. My philosophy as a teacher is that every kid can learn, whether it be at a fast pace, slow pace, medium pace, every kid can learn. You just have to approach them in the right way. You have to figure out what kind of learner they are and accommodate that. It's basically like giving every child their own individualized education plan, their own IEP. But let me tell you this, even though this is my philosophy, the problem is, and maybe I should change my answer for number 2, it's all about time. Time kills us. There are so many teachers that could have kids learning everything they taught them, but we just don't have the time. If we had more time, more kids could learn. So anyway, I kind of answered 2 questions in there. By the way, if you're going for an interview, I would strongly recommend reading up on Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence, because I feel like that's a really good philosophy. And if you don't have one yet, maybe you should think about that one. Question number 4. Describe your teaching style. Ooh, I like this question. Now, in college, we were taught to be center-driven teachers. But I have found that does not work for me to start. Not at all. I have to start out in rows and do direct instruction. But listen, the best thing to do, if you like to do direct instruction and you like to do whole group, you have got to change your activities up every 10 to 15 minutes. You just have to. So like, you'll introduce, talk about vocabulary, make connections, all that good stuff. And then maybe there's a short little brain break where they have to find their partner. Say with math, you have half of the kids have an equation, the other half have the answer, and play like a 3-minute song, and they have to go around and find their partner. And then once it's all over, they explain how they found their partner and how they solved, something like that. And then move on to the next activity where it's guided practice. So I like to do direct instruction with frequent brain breaks in between in a perfect world. By the way, I don't think I made it very clear in part 1 of this series that I know that this is a mascara. I think I kind of made it sound like, oh, it works as a mascara too. No, I know it's a mascara, but what I meant was this is kind of a basic mascara. No offense, because Maybelline, this is an awesome product. Don't quit making it. I was wrong. But this was the first mascara I used when I was a child. When I first started wearing makeup, this is what my mom bought me. So I guess I thought it was more of a basic starter mascara that you would buy for a teenager, not the fancy stuff. So when I started buying it for my brows, and then when I ran out of mascara, I tried it and I was like, oh, it works good, obviously, because it is a mascara. Okay, so I'm off that tangent. Let's talk about the next question. I like these questions way better than from part 1. Okay, so number 5, how would you organize this classroom? I got this down to a science. Okay, 5 rows. Monday row, Tuesday row, Wednesday row, Thursday row, and Friday row. Aha. Now, upon entering the classroom, okay, so you walk in the classroom, the bell assignment is on the counter. You grab your pencil, you grab your calculator, you grab your bell assignment, you grab your workbook if needed. You sit down and you start working on the bell assignment. Okay, the timer will go off 5 minutes later. While that timer is going on, I'm checking attendance, checking dress code, trying to do housekeeping things, finding people. Like, I shouldn't have to find kids any supplies because I've given them all their supplies upon entering the classroom. Okay, so the kids are all facing the front. But when they walk in, there's a place for them to grab all their things and sit. And then upon leaving, they can turn, the space to turn in work is in the same spot. So as they're putting their workbook back on the shelf, they can turn in any assignments that I need from them. And that is how I organize it. Okay, in part 1, I talked about how I like to use lipstick as eyeshadow, but I didn't really show you how I use lipstick as eyeshadow. I did use concealer, which is like lipstick, to kind of set as a primer before I put the powder on, but I didn't really show you how I use actual lipstick. So I'm about to show you what I do in just a second. Question 6, how do you manage your teaching duties?
I'd be like, is this a trick question? What do you mean how do I manage them? I just manage them. You tell me what to do, and I'm gonna get it done.
But you really can't say that. That kind of sounds like you're being a smart aleck. So I would basically, if I was gonna answer this in an interview, I would just say something like, you give me a list of what to do, I will organize and I'll be extra prepared so I can complete all the tasks that you've asked me to. Question 7, what is your greatest success you've had teaching? Keep in mind that what I consider successful and what administrators consider successful are two different things. One might judge success by how many relationships you've formed, how many people you've affected. And I'm sure administrators want to hear this answer too, but more than likely, they want to hear answers about data. So your greatest success should be something that can be measured. Okay, so with that said, whenever I talk about my greatest success, I would talk about if the year before you had really good test scores, I would talk about test scores. Like I would say 75% of my students were proficient and advanced on the state test last year. That is something they want to hear, I promise you. Now, if your kids didn't do well, you might want to talk about those relationships or talk about small victories. So for example, if I was going to talk about my favorite accomplishment, I would talk about the time I had a child in 4th grade that was super duper smart, and everything I gave him, he just was like, he knew how to do everything. So basically, I had just come from teaching 8th grade at Mendenhall, and I happened to have some 8th grade books. And lo and behold, this boy was on an 8th grade level. So I gave him these 8th grade books. I gave him a computer and headphones, told him to work through the book. If he couldn't find the answer, look it up on YouTube. And if he still didn't understand, I would explain it to him. And so that's what he did. Guess what? That little boy ended up skipping the 5th grade and went straight to 6th. So, and you know what? I'm patting myself on the back, but he did the work. I just kind of got him there, so to speak. So I don't know about you, but I think that was pretty awesome. Okay, so basically what I'm doing is I put the lipstick on my eye, and then I'm going to basically intensify it with a powder similar to whatever color this is. Whenever I want to do a look that has lots of colors, I always go to this BH Cosmetic Take Me Back to Brazil palette. Now, a lot of people complain about this palette not having a lot of pigment. It's one of those palettes you just have to build upon. So just be patient with it. Just be patient. Okay, so I guess since I'm going for a blue, I'm gonna go with this. Okay, something tells me I should have not used a blending brush on this. But because I did that on that side, I need to go ahead and do it on this side. I'm telling you, y'all, I'm still trying to figure out eyeshadow. But I have been following some YouTubers that are awesome with makeup. Y'all know who you are. And I am hopefully going to improve my techniques by watching them. Let me try this again. I'll use this brush. I promise. Question 8. What do you think is the greatest challenge facing students today? I really think it has to do with time. Time is killing us all. Because I remember back in the old days when I was growing up, it seems like we had so much time to learn things like our timetables. Kids today in 7th grade are not fluent with knowing their multiplication facts. And I think it's because we have shortened what kids need to learn in the certain time frames, and it is affecting them later on. So I feel like if we would just slow it down in the beginning, just a little, let them get those foundational skills, and then we could just be ready to roll. You know what I mean? All right, this Physicians Formula is one of my favorites. Let me try this. I'm just gonna play around with it for just a second. do know, when you're using a blending brush, they say to hold it at the end and let the brush do the work. Question 9. What is the greatest challenge facing teachers today? I feel like there's so many, it goes back to time constraints. And not only that, I feel like a lot of teachers, their workload is getting to be too much. We really cannot meet every kid's needs when we have 30 children in a classroom. Sometimes it's hard to meet their needs when there's only 10 in a classroom, depending on your students. So it goes back to time, but there's also a lot of other things involved. If teachers could just plan and teach, review their data, plan, teach, I feel like that would really make them effective. Okay, next question. What qualities make a great teacher? Ooh, I've got so many I can list. I would say a good teacher a good teacher's first priority is to get to know his or her student. This is the teacher that is really studying the data, really giving those questionnaires at the beginning of the school year, and actually looking at them. It's one thing to pass them out, but then it's a completely other thing to actually look at them and use them to plan. This teacher gets to know her students super quickly, learns their skills, learns their strengths and weaknesses quickly, and then uses this knowledge to plan lessons to reach every student. This teacher is consistent and firm. Kids know that he or she loves them and would do anything for them, but they know you don't mess with that teacher because they'll get a hold of you. So, just to name a few, that's what I think. Okay, the next question, I'm going to try to give you an answer that won't make me cry. It says, describe your worst teaching day. What did you learn from the experience? I tell you what, it's kind of like Ariana Grande's song, Thank You Next, because anytime I have a bad day, I come back strong and I learn from it. Without getting too specific, because it's the specific days that make me want to cry because they feel personal. But just in general, I had a 7th period class that was horrible. It's like their ADD meds were wearing off and they were all put in the same classroom. And when you're a science teacher, they don't give you an inclusion class. They don't give you an inclusion teacher, so you don't have that extra teacher in there to help and support you. But anyway, I had the 7th period class and they were awful. So I regrouped. I created a video on how to control a noisy classroom or something. I will put it up there somewhere. And yeah, that's what I learned from it. I basically did not let them breathe in the wrong direction or they were out. And I was calling parents left and right. I did not budge. I was like a drill sergeant. I wasn't even myself. So I had too many bad days of them being horrible and having a great day, all through the day, and then 7th period came and then it was horrible. So after that, I was just
like, nope, this isn't happening to me. I refuse.
And then I've kind of taken that approach to the beginning of every school year, kind of that drill sergeant act, because most kids, when they see me, they think, oh, she's nice, we can run all over her. So I kind of have to be tougher than people that already automatically have that demeanor. I'm gonna do this other eyelash off camera. Okay, I'm back. So, last question. How do you motivate your students to become active learners in your classroom? This is a really good question, and there are so many different ways that you could answer this question. Let's just face it, the kids are more than likely not going to do your work or take it as seriously if you don't give them feedback. Stock up your pantry with lots of snacks and cupcakes and candy. because I don't care who you are, candy motivates even the toughest kids for the most part. Call parents, keep parents involved. Make the task doable. Because look, have you ever played a game where you just couldn't win? I know I have. And it made me not want to play anymore. Because I'm like, this is a game that I am not going to win. So there is no point in even playing. So I would make it where, at first, break the skill down into easy steps so the kids can feel successful. Even my craziest kids were angels when I gave them a task that they could do. So that is important because a lot of kids act up when they are trying to not look stupid in front of their peers. You know what I mean? So give them things that they can do and build on it. Don't move too fast. Show them that they can be successful and build on this. I'm gonna try something. It might not work, but let's try it anyway. Okay, so that is how I would motivate kids, is I would tell them that they could be successful. I would show them they could be successful. Another good answer to this question was to build relationships with your students. Because I'm sorry, I don't care how hard a task is. If it is somebody that I like, I want to do good for them. I think that's just human nature. So put in the work and build those relationships with students. And then they'll want to work for you. So there's so many good answers that you could do with this one. I am almost done. I feel like I need to use some bronzer because I'm looking a little pale. Maybe I overdid it. Okay, so now time to do something with this hair. Don't you hate it when you can't find your brush? I think I am gonna do something that we do not have the luxury to do whenever we are going to school. And that is put on a hat. I love me some hats because I can cover up my hair when it looks like this. And I'm not that great at styling my hair yet. Okay, let's put some earrings on. So anytime I show my ears, I like to put on some earrings. I need to get some more earrings, to be honest with you. There we go. I'm ready. All right, that is it. If you found it helpful, informative, or even entertaining, please like, share, and subscribe. Go ahead, I'll wait. Okay, I'll leave you alone now. Comment below the smiley face that has stars in his eyes or her eyes. You knew what I meant. And as always, you guys have an amazing day. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.